Good morning and welcome back to the kitchen. It's kind of a dreary day outside here, and that always makes me want to cook. So I'm going to make a casserole today, and I've done a broccoli cheese casserole before, but this is a whole different recipe, and I wanted to do it for y'all and let you try it and see what you like best. But I've got my ingredients here that I'm going to be using. I will bring the camera over close, and I will reshare a tip or two that I've given you before. It calls for 3 cups of cooked rice, so I've already cooked my rice off in my rice cooker, and I cooked it in better than bouillon with some added garlic, and I want it to be real flavorful when I put it in the casserole. But I'll bring y'all over here to look at what I'm doing, and we'll get this casserole made, and it'll be a wonderful side dish to go with our meal. It calls for a 12-ounce jar of Cheese Whiz. This is a 15-ounce jar, but that's what I'm going to use. Cream of mushroom and cream of chicken soup, 5 ounces of evaporated milk, 2 or 3 bunches of fresh broccoli, and I'm going to have to steam my broccoli, a half a cup of celery, and half a cup of onion chopped. Now remember, I told y'all that when you get your celery, if you'll wrap it in tin foil, that it'll keep for weeks in the refrigerator. I don't know how long I've had this one, but look at it. It's still just like I just got it at the store. So don't forget to take it out of the plastic and wrap it in foil, and it's going to help. I'm going to need about a half cup. I'm going to take about 3 ribs. If I have a little too much, I don't mind. I'm going to put my celery back in the foil where it'll keep till the next use. And I'm going to get this stuff chopped, and then I'll bring you back and we'll assemble the casserole and get it into the oven. Turn the camera back on and show y'all how I do my celery. I take it for granted that everybody knows exactly how to do stuff. If you'll cut it into manageable pieces and then cut those strips into smaller pieces, it's a lot easier to dice it, okay? And then I just bunch it together, and I cut it as small of dices as I can get it when it calls for diced. Barely move your knife over a little bit and cut. It's not rocket science, but you know, if nobody's ever showed you, or you are not used to cooking, some things don't just come natural. So I'm going to finish chopping it, but I wanted to show you. Then sometimes after I get it that size, I'll run the knife across it again and get it even smaller. Just the way I do it, and trying to show y'all how to get it in the little bitty dices. I've got my broccoli in the pot with just a little bit of water, not a lot, because I just want to kind of steam it. So I'm going to put my lid on, and I'm going to start it on high or medium-high heat. And that water's going to get hot, of course, and it's going to steam the broccoli, because I don't want it to come all to pieces. Because in this casserole, you kind of layer it. So I'm going to let it steam for a few minutes, and then when it's all ready, we'll assemble it. Okay, I've emptied my Cheese Whiz and my soups into my pot, and I'm going to melt that all, warm it all together. And you pour this over your casserole after you get it layered. So I was just going to show y'all what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and mix it up some. This little spatula that I got at Sur La Table, I think it's called a blender spatula. Because see, it's long and skinny. It'll fit down in most little bottles, but it's so good getting stuff out of cans and all. I really do like it. So if you're ever around one of them, you ought to grab it. It's really a handy little tool to have. This one has the metal through it, and then it's silicone coated, so it makes it very, very easy to use because it's not real bendy. Now I've got to get 5 ounces of the milk out of here to put in, and then I'll get this to heating and I'll bring y'all back. Okay, I've sprayed my dish with cooking spray, and you're going to layer your broccoli. I drained it, but there's a little bit of liquid left, but I don't think that's going to hurt anything. And this was 3 little fresh bunches of broccoli. You could use frozen broccoli. The main thing is you just want it steamed and cooked. And I did add some garlic and salt. I wanted my garlic seasoned, of course. And then you add 3 cups of rice. 3 cups of cooked rice, and I told you I cooked this in some better than bouillon, and I added fresh garlic and onion powder and some salt and freshly ground black pepper. Now you could add some shredded chicken in here if you wanted to, and it's good. But I'm going to have a different meat dish, so I didn't want meat in this one. Okay, then we're going to add, it calls for a 1/2 cup of celery and a 1/2 cup of chopped onions, and I may put a little bit more, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to layer in, I'm going to do 3/4 of a cup of celery and just put it around where it'll be a little bit all over it. And this is closer to a cup of onion. Y'all don't have to put that much. Like I said, the recipe calls for 1/2 cup. But I love onion and I love garlic, so I usually add extra of that, whatever it calls for. Now we're going to drizzle about 3/4 of a stick of melted butter around on the top. And I'm going to add our melted cheese and soup to the top of this. And just pour it on the top. Cheese Whiz is like Velveeta, I think. So I really think you can substitute Velveeta. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to sprinkle 1/4 of a cup of slivered almonds on the top. We're going to bake this at 350 for about 15 to 20 minutes. And it'll just, all of this will kind of go together in here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my fork through it a little bit, so it'll be a little stirred up. I'd rather have it stirred up. I think I would rather have it stirred up than just layered like that. So I'm going to stir mine up. What do y'all think? Years ago, my cousin made this for a reunion that we went to, and I had never seen it made with Cheese Whiz, which a lot of people had that recipe. I just didn't. Some things I think would be okay layered, but I think I would rather have this stirred up. So y'all can layer it like I did to start with, or you can stir yours. I'm gonna just have mine stirred up. You know how I've told you to take a recipe and make it your own? I'm gonna, because I stirred it up when it didn't say to stir it up, it said to layer it and pour that on the top. I didn't like how it looked. I wasn't sure it would get down in with all the stuff. So I stirred mine up, and now I'm gonna add on the top of that some French fried onions. And these are the H-E-B brand, but y'all know what I'm talking about, I think. Just so it'll have some crunch on the top. And I'm going to add a little bit of the Tillamook Mexican 4 cheese just to have something to kind of bind those onion rings around on the top. If y'all haven't tried Tillamook cheese, you're missing out on the goodness of life, man. Kind of like tea is the elixir of life. That Tillamook cheese is hard to pass up. They had it on sale, so I took advantage. I'm going to put this in a 350-degree oven for about 15 or 20 minutes, and I'll show y'all what it looks like. I've got it in the June oven. It's been in here for about 5 minutes on 350, and it is starting to melt the cheese. So when it kind of crusts over and browns, we'll take it out and see what it's like. Okay, the casserole's out of the oven, and I'm letting it cool a little bit, and I'm going to get me a picture that y'all have already seen at the beginning of the video. Doesn't that look yummy? I'll dish some up here in a minute and let you see what it looks like. Here's the casserole cut. See the broccoli and the rice and all in it? Y'all, I done snitched a bite, but I'm going to snitch another one so y'all can see how good it is. This is very good, and I'm glad I stirred it up. I like it with everything stirred up together in there. It's hot. That's good, and the only thing I probably would have done different, I would have toasted those almonds if I were going to stir them up in there, because they were supposed to be the topping, but I stirred them up in there because I changed my mind on just layering it. But if I were going to layer it and put the almonds on the top, that would have been fine. But if I was going to stir them in the casserole, I would have toasted them first. But those onions on the top make it yummy. Y'all are going to have to try this. It's a wonderful side dish for any day of the year, a special side dish for a holiday. It doesn't take a lot of unusual ingredients, basically the Cheese Whiz. And so, if you can't find Cheese Whiz, use a little bit of Velveeta. If you don't have Velveeta, I think it would be good with just cheddar cheese shredded up. So y'all need to try to make some of this and let me know what you think about it. In the meantime, get some food on your supper table, gather your family around the table. Y'all ought to could do 1 hour a day with no electronic devices around, and just sit around the table and eat and visit. Try it and see if it doesn't make your cohesiveness of your family a little bit better. The good Lord bless and keep y'all, and I'll see you in a day or two. Let me just give you one more little point. The reason this doesn't call for any salt is because the cheese and the soups are salty. So if you add salt, it's going to be too salty. So don't make that mistake. Just do it like the recipe says.